Welcome to the Edge of Industry, our new podcast dedicated to unfolding how industrial connectivity brings value to your organization by accelerating digital transformation at scale, reducing cybersecurity risks, and unlocking operational efficiency. In today's episode, Ted Kerkam, head of product strategy at Kepware, is joined by Erich Barnstedt of Microsoft. Together, they'll explore best practices for unlocking industrial data for AI-powered operations.
AI has the potential to revolutionize across industries by enhancing efficiency, enabling innovative solutions, and transforming how we interact with technology and each other. In today's episode, we'll dive into the potential for AI in manufacturing and discuss practical guidance to help manufacturers build a data foundation that's secure, scalable, and usable in the midst of new technology. Our guest, Erich Barnstedt from Microsoft, is here to help us explore this topic and lend his expertise. Welcome, Erich, to the Edge of Industry.
Thank you for having me.
Can you kick us off by introducing yourself?
Sure. My name is Erich Barnstedt. I'm the Chief Architect for Standards, Consortia, and Industrial IoT in the Azure Edge and Platform team at Microsoft.
So AI offers a ton of potential for manufacturing. There is a tremendous amount of data being created in a plant, and AI offers so much promise in being able to leverage the data to improve sustainability, efficiency, and quality. But there are some real hurdles that exist today in being able to leverage the data. Can you tell us a little bit about what you see from your customers?
Sure, Dad. So, fundamentally, everybody wants to use AI these days, especially with the new large language models becoming mainstream and available in the cloud, but even on the edge these days. But, as somebody once said, without data, there is no AI. Data is like the fuel for AI to work its magic. And the problem is, quite frankly, data is in too many different formats and in too many different silos, too many different systems, especially for manufacturers around the world. This is a huge problem. So you need to first get your data in order, get it contextualized, get it put into a consistent format. Otherwise, you won't be able to use it in the cloud, not for analytics or not for AI. So that's a huge problem that everybody needs to solve in the manufacturing industry.
And within Kepware, we call it getting your digital house in order. And it really, for us, stands for identifying those places where you can standardize your connectivity and start using data in reliable and repeatable ways across your enterprise. So as you think about sort of the challenges that customers are having today in manufacturing, what kind of guidance do you have for manufacturers that are just getting started on their data journey?
Yeah, so I always say pick your data model first, and then everything kind of flows from that. And you're also kind of you're going to build your architecture around your data model, right? A lot of people put things together in some way and then think about the data afterwards. Well, that's going to cause problems down the road, in my experience. So you're better off picking your data model up front and then mapping your assets to that data model, right? And that's really important. And that's where open standards can play a really important role, because it'll also allow you to basically break free of these data silos and proprietary interfaces at the same time. So you're basically, solving two problems at once.
Right. That's of course a really big undertaking for manufacturers that are used to operating in silos, either within a plant or across a bunch of different plants. When you think about kind of the modeling step, what's important about choosing something that is a standardized data model as opposed to maybe something that a manufacturer might feel more directly reflects their reality, or it's more homegrown?
Yeah, some manufacturers created their own data model, and that's totally fine. And maybe there's a good reasons to stick with it. But in general, when there is an offering available, and the first offering is to remodel all your assets, I always say run for the hills, right? Because, you're just going to end up being stuck in another proprietary walled garden ecosystem with this proprietary data model at its center. And you're much better off picking an open standard format that then allows you to basically take your data with you if you ever want to leave. You never know. There might be something better down the road someplace else, and you might want to switch to that. Well, that's a lot easier if you don't have to start over with all your data, right? Or convert your data. That's another big issue a lot of the times when you're moving from one system to another, you need to convert the data. That costs a lot of money, and you can save yourself all that hassle by picking an open standard format to begin with.
Right. I think this is one of the places that Kepware and Microsoft really share some values. This idea that the data belongs to the customer, and our job is to make it as easy to access and to route from whatever system the customer has at the edge to whatever consuming systems or to the cloud in a way that is flexible and easy to use.
For sure. I mean, when I talk to customers and I tell them, so what are you using today? They say Kepware. It's by far the most popular and fully featured, right? So it's very easy to use. People tell me all the time that they have been using Kepware for years. And so it's really, really convenient, let's say, to use its OPC UA interface to then do some additional modeling, perhaps, bring those standardized data models into the mix and then send the data from Kepware through the Azure Edge to the cloud and do data analytics there, right? More and more customers also want to do data analytics actually on the edge. This is where Adaptive Cloud portfolio comes in handy. It allows you to run your cloud native workloads on the edge, right? So people say, hey, why do I need to write a different app just because I want to run it on the edge? Why can't it be the same app? And that's what Adaptive Cloud is all about. So with Kepware and Adaptive Cloud working hand in hand, like we've shown actually at HMI this year, right? I mean, people could see it live. It was really convenient for people to see, oh, I don't need to change everything. I can just keep on using Kepware and, attach the Azure Edge to it and off you go.
Right. That's one of the things that I think we like best about this solution is it leverages what most customers probably already have in their environment today, and helps them get more value out of that existing installation. But for folks that might be less familiar, maybe give them an example of what are some of the benefits that they might expect to see as a result of being able to see their edge data. Where would they see the most immediate types of benefits?
So I mean, there's several use cases that people really all want. They kind of build on top of one another. So you start with, just asset monitoring, condition monitoring. A lot of people are already over the moon when they can start using condition monitoring, not just on one plant, but all their plants across the world. And obviously with the cloud, you can do that in a centralized dashboard and also control, to some extent, both the assets and for sure the edge environment that they need, where Kepware runs, where Azure IoT operations runs, and so on. And, being able to control that from a single dashboard in the cloud is a huge benefit, right? So that's one. And then, once they get more familiar with the data and they understand how to do calculations on the data, then of course they want to do OEE calculation and then slowly OEE improvements, perhaps, do some predictions of forecasting. And these predictions can be small. They can be, what's the next shift going to be? Not what I'm going to do next year, right? It's more smaller time scale based, right? But that's usually enough. And then finally, once they start using machine learning and AI in the mix, they can do anomaly detection and they can, make improvements to their production process, perhaps manual, right? It doesn't all have to be automated. They can get the results of their machine learning model and then manually make changes. A lot of people are not comfortable fully automating it. But for some industries, like, in the process industries where you need to make lots of adjustments during a normal production run, they're super happy with automating that and not having to do those manual adjustments all the time. So then that's what a digital feedback loop is about, where you're collecting data, bringing it to the cloud, running analysis on it, machine learning based, making some predictions regarding yield or whatever, and then adjusting maybe the recipe or the mixture or whatever it may be. Maybe the cycle time. Sometimes it's even convenient to slow down or speed up the production process a little. And then, fully automating that whole process to increase yield. And this is where, everybody wants to be. Then, you can use your staff and use them for more valuable work, right? Because staff shortages are a big problem in manufacturing. So everybody wins. Right. And, if you can automate a mundane task, I don't think anybody would complain about that,
Right. It's about using AI to create OT superheroes as opposed to replacing people, right? And their jobs and job functions.
Yeah, and I mean, maybe it's a good time to clear up a misconception. So people think AI is just this co-worker, right? That steals their job. It's not like that. It's more like a tool that allows you to offload some mundane tasks so you can focus on the real valuable tasks. Because that's what we call a co-pilot. You're still in control. You're still a pilot, and you just happen to have somebody who makes sure the plane flies in the right direction. So this is why people should see it as for what it is. It's a tool, right? That will allow you to do things that you had been doing for years and you found super boring, and now you don't need to do those things anymore because the machine can do it for you.
Yeah. One of the use cases that we see a lot from the Kepware end is that desire to move to predictable preventive maintenance. So during the course of the pandemic, a number of manufacturers, due to labor shortages or shortages in the supply chain, may have moved to more full-time manufacturing. And so the ability to understand sensor data and quickly identify, is this normal or is this something where we might need to replace a unit or replace a motor, has been really powerful, and it's all powered by the data streams coming from the edge and being looked at with machine learning algorithms that can separate normal function and wear from abnormal, this probably needs to be serviced, which allows manufacturers to be more predictive in terms of when they sit down to do a PM cycle.
That's right. And maybe one thing about where to normalize and contextualize your data. So some folks say, just send the data anyhow to the cloud and then, work it out in the cloud. But to be honest, think about all the other systems that you have on premises that could also benefit from a standardized, normalized data stream, right? And again, a lot of folks, want to run stuff on the edge. They don't want to send everything to the cloud for cost reasons or legal reasons or whatever reason, right? So normalizing and standardizing your data on the edge, or at least on premises, as close to the source as possible, has a huge, ripple effect on all the other systems that are downstream from your edge, from your Kepware instance, for example. And also, quite honestly, Ted, a lot of the experts that understand the data, they happen to be on premises, right? So it's much more convenient just to tell them, listen, here's the Kepware system, go configure it. You know the data better than anybody. If you need help, let us know, rather than trying to get your IT staff in some central location to make sense of it, right?
Yeah. Yep. So talk to me a little bit more about how Microsoft sort of sees its role in helping manufacturers transform from where they are today to being fully enabled, data-driven, and integrated from the edge to the cloud.
So Microsoft sees itself as a platform company. We provide the platform that, manufacturers can use to build great application experience on top of. And then, of course, PTC is more on top of that platform, building those applications together with their customers. And, we don't really want to be a full stack solution. Again, we leave that to the experts. And, we're very happy just to provide the platform and like the foundational services, either managed or, as a PaaS, the platform as a service offering. That's really up to the customer to decide which one they want to use. But fundamentally, we're the platform company. We provide the data services. We provide the analytics services, machine learning, and so on. And then customers can pick and choose the right services that they want to use to build the applications on top of and create a complete system.
So Eric, what does the end state or the future vision look like for companies that modernize their architecture? What's possible?
Yeah, so I mean, you really got to start with collecting your data, as we mentioned. But what I see with some of the more advanced manufacturers, the ones that have been doing this for a few years, they really start also adding standardized semantics to their data through OPC UA companion specs. I think they're going to be a big part of our growth in the next couple of years and truly accelerating the use of data for analytics in the cloud with those additional semantics that they provide. So nowadays, a lot of those information models and pan specs are available. There's over 150 of them and available from the OPC Foundation through the UA Cloud Library, which is hosted by the OPC Foundation. And more companies and manufacturers that I work with now ask for these standardized semantics on top of OPC UA support and data normalization and mapping services. So I think that's going to be a big part of where the industry is going. And of course, we can use some of the, large language models to help us with mapping to these standardized semantics. We're actually working with an automation company on the Web of Things. It's a W3C standard. It allows you to fully automate the asset onboarding and mapping to OPC UA, including the semantic information that is stored in the companion specs. So getting those Web of Things files automatically generated, I think that's going to be a huge step. And, the large language models are getting better all the time. So even if it's not perfect right now, and we made some tests, it's okay. You get, a good basis, but just by providing make and model of the asset you want to onboard, but it's not complete. But with the latest models and, the improvements that people are making all the time to these large language models, the results are going to get better and better, right? And the hallucinations are getting less and less, right? The way you can teach a system not to come up with random answers, but being very focused in what kind of answers you expect from the system. And that's been a huge help in terms of getting those data formats and data files generated for your assets. And then, of course, with Kepware Plus, being able to also, configure the system from the cloud and not just from the edge, I think is a huge step. A lot of customers that are already onboarded and have been using, advanced analytics for some time, they say, we come up with a new idea, or we think, maybe we want to add a few more tags here and there to our system. They no longer need to ring the person on site to make changes to the configuration to the data stream, but they can do that work themselves from the cloud, which of course is a huge time and cost saving. So I think that's another, important piece of the art of the possible that people underestimate, but they don't see that until they actually tried it and used it for a while, right?
Right, and that's of course where Kepware comes to play, right? Whether you have brand new assets or brownfield assets, we offer kind of that standard connectivity tool that can enable you to start sending your edge data to some of these consuming systems and recognize some of the benefits of accelerating, your asset onboarding and your adoption of language models. So really a nice pairing there for customers who are looking to have a small number of solutions in the stack to recognize some of the benefits.
Right, Ted. And don't forget the configuration from the cloud. I think that's also an important step. Now, I always think that the initial configuration will happen on premises because the experts are there, right? But what I've also seen, customers that are further along want to have the ability to make changes to their data acquisition pipeline from the cloud. Let's say they come up with a new use case. They find, there's 5 tags missing to be able to really, get the right data for that use case. Well, without that feature, they would have to ring somebody at each plant and say, can you please make that change? Let me know when it's done. Now they can just go to a central dashboard like what you have in Kepware Plus and make those changes fully autonomously without having any other assistance from the cloud, and it's done in seconds, right? And otherwise it would probably take weeks, right? So this is a huge improvement in terms of efficiency of being able to get that kind of configuration experience to the people that really need it.
Well, thank you for the shout out for our enterprise management tools. I think we certainly recognize as customers were trying to scale, the idea of going to each individual server to accomplish changes, even to recognize the benefits of new use case was not going to be sustainable, which was the genesis of Kepware Plus. And certainly it's enhanced by the ability to connect to more advanced tools up the chain as well.
That's right.
Well, Eric, thank you so much for being here and sharing your insights and expertise. This has been a lot of fun. On behalf of PTC Kepware, thank you all for listening. I'm Ted Kerkam for The Edge of Industry, and I hope you have a great day.
Thank you for having me. Pleasure.
Thank you for listening to the Edge of Industry podcast, brought to you by PTC Kepware. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe wherever you listen. And please leave a rating or a review. Be sure to check out other episodes to hear new perspectives at ptc.com/edgeofindustry.